Hi, I'm Holly. Never thought I'd be raising my sister's kid, but life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. 7 years ago, my sister Emma showed up at my apartment door, sleep deprived and desperate, with a 6-month-old baby in her arms. Please, Holly, just for the weekend, Emma pleaded, bouncing little Jamie on her hip. I can't do this anymore. I need a break, just a couple days to clear my head. I remember how I hesitated, looking at my tiny one-bedroom apartment. Emma, you know I have work on Monday. I don't have anything for a baby here. I brought everything you need, she said, dropping a diaper bag at my feet. Her eyes darted nervously to the hallway behind her. Formula, diapers, clothes, it's all there. Please, Hall, you're the only one I trust. What about Jamie's father? Can't he help? I asked, even as I found myself reaching for the baby. Emma's face hardened. He's not in the picture. Never will be. She pressed a crumpled piece of paper into my hand. I signed this. It gives you temporary guardianship, just in case there's an emergency. Something in her voice made me pause. Emma, you are coming back, right? Of course, she said too quickly, not meeting my eyes. Monday, Tuesday at the latest. I bounced Jamie in my arms, his little fingers already gripping my shirt. You've been acting weird for months. What's really going on? Nothing, she snapped, then immediately softened. I'm just overwhelmed. Being a single mom is harder than I thought. She leaned in and kissed Jamie's forehead, lingering for a moment. Be good for Aunt Holly, little man. And then she was gone. No Monday return, no Tuesday call, nothing but silence and an increasingly worried feeling in my gut. She's done this before. My best friend Diane reminded me over coffee 3 weeks later, while Jamie napped in my newly purchased crib. Remember when she took off to California without telling anyone? I stirred my coffee absently. This is different. She let her baby die. Have you filed a missing persons report? Diane asked, keeping her voice low. Yes, but the police say there's no evidence of foul play. That temporary guardianship paper she signed? It wasn't just scribbled on the spot. It was notarized 2 days earlier. Diane's eyebrows shot up. She planned this. That's what the detective said. I nodded, feeling the familiar anger rising. He showed me security footage from the bus station. She bought a one-way ticket to Seattle 3 hours after dropping Jamie with me. Oh, Holly. Diane reached across the table to squeeze my hand. I keep calling and texting. Nothing, I said, my voice cracking. What kind of mother just abandons her child? What are you going to do? Diane asked softly. I glanced toward the bedroom where Jamie slept peacefully, unaware that his mother had chosen to disappear. What can I do? He needs someone, if she doesn't want to be his mother anymore. I took a deep breath. I guess I will be. The weight of my decision hung in the air as Diane's eyes widened. Holly, that's a huge responsibility. Are you sure? Before I could answer, Jamie's cry came through the baby monitor. As I got up, Diane grabbed my wrist. You need to make this legal, she warned. What if Emma comes back someday and wants him back? I shook my head, unable to imagine my sister returning after what she'd done. She won't. She made her choice. I couldn't have known then how wrong I would be. 7 years passed in a blur of first steps, preschool art projects, and bedtime stories. Jamie and I built a life together, a good one. The temporary guardianship became permanent legal custody, and though I never formally adopted him, I was the only mother he knew. Miss Reynolds, do you have a moment? Jamie's teacher, Mrs. Patel, waved me over during pickup one afternoon. Is everything okay? I asked, watching Jamie play with his friends across the playground. There was an incident today, Mrs. Patel said quietly. A woman was watching the children at recess. When our aide approached her, she claimed to be Jamie's mother. My blood ran cold. What did she look like? Blonde, thin. She left quickly when questioned, but... Mrs. Patel hesitated. Jamie said he recognized her from a photo you have. He called her my first mom. My hands trembled as I thanked her and collected Jamie, scanning the street outside the school. Nothing seemed unusual. but the feeling of being watched lingered. That night, I called Diane in a panic. "She's back, Di! Emma's back!" I paced around my kitchen, keeping my voice low so Jamie wouldn't hear from his bedroom. "Are you sure it's her?" Diane asked. "Jamie recognized her from the one picture I've kept." "What do I do?" "It's been 7 years. 7 years without a single word." "Call Mark," Diane said firmly, referring to my lawyer friend. "Tonight. This isn't just about you anymore. Jamie's stability is at stake." "You're right," I agreed, already dreading the conversation. "Can you come over tomorrow? I need to talk to Jamie about this." The next day, Diane arrived with breakfast and moral support. Jamie was building Legos in the living room when I sat beside him. "Hey, buddy, can we talk for a minute?" I asked gently. "Is this about the lady at school?" he asked without looking up. Diane and I exchanged glances. "Yes," I admitted. "Do you remember who she is?" Jamie nodded, connecting two pieces with careful precision. "She's in the picture on your dresser. My first mom before you became my mom." "That's right," I said, my throat tight. "Her name is Emma. She's my sister." "Why did she come to my school?" he asked, finally looking up with curious eyes. "I'm not sure," I said honestly, "but I'm going to find out." "Is she going to take me away?" His small voice betrayed fear that broke my heart. "No," I said firmly. "No one is taking you anywhere. You're my son." "Promise?" he asked. "I promise," I said, pulling him into a hug. Later, after Jamie had gone outside to play, Mark arrived, his legal notepad already filled with notes. "I've pulled all the documentation from when you got custody," he said, spreading papers across my dining table. "The good news is, abandonment for 7 years without contact gives you a strong case." "She signed over temporary guardianship," I reminded him. "Which became permanent when she failed to appear at the hearing 3 years ago," Mark countered. "We sent notices to her last known addresses. She made no attempt to contest." "But now she's back," Diane interjected, "and apparently wants to play mommy again." "Has she contacted you directly?" Mark asked, making notes. "Not yet, just watching from a distance." "That's actually concerning behavior," Mark said, looking up. "If she approaches Jamie again without going through proper channels, we can file for a restraining order." "I just don't understand," I said, shaking my head. "Why now? After all this time?" My question was answered 3 days later when a process server handed me custody papers. Emma was suing for parental rights to be reinstated. "She claims she had postpartum depression," I told Mark over the phone, my voice shaking with rage. "Says she's better now and wants a relationship with her son." "Don't worry," Mark assured me. "We'll fight this. The court considers stability and the child's best interest above everything else." "She abandoned him," I hissed. "Left him with nothing but a diaper bag and disappeared for 7 years." "And we'll make sure the judge knows exactly what happened," Mark promised. "This won't be easy, Holly. But Jamie isn't going anywhere." The first time I saw Emma in 7 years was at the preliminary hearing. She looked different, older, more polished, with a wedding ring I couldn't help noticing. She tried to catch my eye as we entered the courtroom, but I stared straight ahead. "Holly?" she called softly as we passed in the hallway during recess. "Please, can we talk?" I stopped, feeling Mark's warning hand on my elbow. 7 years, I said without turning. 7 years without a word. "I know," she said, stepping closer. "I was sick, Holly. Really sick." I finally turned to face her. "Too sick to pick up a phone? To send a birthday card? He's 8 now, Emma. He didn't even know your name until last month." "I'm better now," she insisted. "I've been in therapy. I'm married, stable. I can give Jamie a good home." "His name is James now," I corrected her. "That's what he prefers, and he has a good home. With me." "He's my son," Emma's voice hardened. "I gave birth to him." "And then you gave him to me," I countered. "You don't get to come back now and pretend those 7 years didn't happen." "Please, Holly," her voice cracked. "I'm not the same person. I made a terrible mistake, but I want to make it right." "Make it right?" I laughed bitterly. What does that even mean? You can't undo what you did. I'm not asking for full custody, Emma tried again. Just visitation. A chance to know him. You had that chance. You threw it away, I said, feeling my control slipping. Do you know what it was like? Having to explain to a 3-year-old why he doesn't have a mom like the other kids? Watching him cry because he thought he wasn't good enough for you to stay? I'm sorry, Emma whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. Sorry doesn't fix this, I said coldly. James is happy. He's thriving. I won't let you disrupt his life because you suddenly decided you're ready to be a mother. He deserves to know me, Emma insisted, her voice rising. I'm his biological mother. Biology doesn't make you a mother, I shot back. Being there does. Every nightmare, every skinned knee, every school concert. I was there. Where were you? I had a mental breakdown, Emma shouted, drawing attention from others in the hallway. I couldn't even take care of myself. Would you rather I stayed and hurt him? I'd rather you hadn't abandoned him without a word for 7 years, I said, stepping closer. If you really loved him, you would think about what's best for him now, not what you want. This isn't over, Emma hissed, her earlier tears forgotten. I will get my son back. Mark my words. Miss Reynolds? The bailiff called from the courtroom door. The judge is ready to resume. As I walked away, Emma called after me. He deserves to know his real family. I turned back, ice in my voice. I am his real family, the only one that matters. The custody battle dragged on for months. Emma brought character witnesses, her new husband, her therapist, even our mother who'd been largely absent from both our lives. How could Mom testify for her? I asked Diane over dinner at my place. James was at a sleepover, a rare night of normalcy in our turbulent new reality. Because Emma's always been the favorite, Diane said bluntly, pouring more wine. Even when she messes up, they make excuses for her. The judge seemed impressed by her recovery story, I admitted, the fear I'd been holding at bay finally surfacing. What if I lose him, Di? You won't, Diane assured me. Grace's report was clear. James is bonded to you. Removing him would be traumatic. Grace, the court-appointed social worker, had become an unexpected ally. After interviewing James and observing us together, she'd written a glowing recommendation for maintaining the current custody arrangement. Emma's lawyer is pushing for shared custody now, I sighed. Says it would be in James's best interest to know his mother. You are his mother, Diane insisted fiercely. Biology isn't everything. The final hearing arrived on a rainy Tuesday. James sat outside with Grace while Emma and I made our last appeals to the judge. Your Honor, Emma's lawyer argued, my client has made remarkable progress. She's maintained stability for 3 years, has a supportive husband, and desperately wants to know her son. We're only asking for weekend visitation to start, with the possibility of expanded time as James becomes comfortable. When my turn came, I stood and spoke from my heart. Your Honor, 7 years ago, I made a promise to a little boy who'd been abandoned. I promised to always be there, to never leave him, to be the parent he deserves. I've kept that promise every day since. James doesn't know Emma. To him, she's a stranger who's disrupting the only life he's ever known. The judge considered us both. I'd like to speak with James now. 20 minutes later, we were called back in. James sat beside the judge, his small legs swinging nervously. I've made my decision, the judge announced. Based on James's statements, Miss Reynolds' consistent caregiving and the social worker's recommendations, I find it in the child's best interest to remain in the primary custody of Holly Reynolds. Relief flooded through me as Emma let out a choked sob. However, the judge continued, I am granting Emma Taylor supervised visitation, starting with 2 hours twice monthly, to be gradually increased if things go well. These visits will be contingent upon Emma's continued mental health treatment and James's comfort level. Outside the courtroom, Emma approached us, her husband hovering supportively nearby. Holly, please, she begged. Can we try to work together? For James's sake? I looked down at James, holding my hand tightly. What do you think, buddy? Would you like to get to know Emma a little bit? James considered Emma carefully. Maybe, he said quietly. But I still want to live with you. You're my mom. Emma flinched at his words but forced a smile. I understand. I just want a chance, James. That's all I'm asking for. We'll follow the court order, I said firmly. The supervisor will contact you about scheduling the first visit. Thank you, Emma whispered. As we walked away, James looked up at me. Mom? Am I going to have two moms now? I squeezed his hand. You have one mom who loves you more than anything. And you have Emma, who wants to be part of your life. We'll figure it out together, okay? Okay, he nodded, seemingly satisfied. That night, after tucking James into bed, I called Mark. You were right, I said. The judge saw what mattered most. James's stability, Mark agreed. That's what the system is designed to protect. I'm still angry, I admitted. Part of me wants to make the visitation as difficult as possible. That wouldn't be good for James, Mark reminded me gently. The best revenge isn't keeping them apart. It's raising him so well that he can make his own choices about who deserves a place in his life. As I hung up, I realized Mark was right. Emma might have gotten her visitation, but I'd won what really mattered. James would grow up knowing who had truly been there for him. And someday, when he was old enough to understand everything, he would make his own judgments about the woman who gave him life versus the woman who gave him a home.